Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Retro Arcade Classics with me, Sean, from the Slotted In There team. And this week I'll be taking a fond look at one of the 80s arcade's absolute classic machines, Star Wars, the arcade game. The 1980s, the golden age of arcades when pixels were sharp, screens were CRT, and Jedi reflexes were tested with a joystick and two buttons. Today, we're slamming a 10 pence into the nostalgia machine and warping back to 1983 for one of the most legendary sci-fi arcade experiences ever. Star Wars, the game that made you feel like Luke Skywalker minus the awkward family drama. To really appreciate this masterpiece, we need to rewind to the early 80s. Arcades were booming, tech was evolving, and Star Wars was absolutely everywhere. Return of the Jedi had just hit the cinemas, and fans were desperate for more ways to step into their favourite galaxy far, far away. Enter Atari, already a gaming juggernaut who saw the perfect opportunity to drain our pockets in the best possible way. But this wasn't just another coin guzzler. Released in 1983, Atari's Star Wars arcade game was a game changer, literally. It threw players straight into the cockpit of an X-Wing using vector graphics, those crisp neon-lit lines that made everything look futuristic and somehow more immersive than some modern games. Vector graphics weren't just a cool aesthetic choice, they were a technical flex. They kept visuals smooth, ensuring you could blast away TIE fighters without turning the screen into a pixelated mess. Atari had already nailed this style with Asteroids, Tempest, and Battlezone, so when it came to Star Wars, they knew exactly what the experience needed. Leading the charge was developer Mike Halley and his team. Tasked with crafting the ultimate cockpit experience, their mission: drop players straight into Luke's X-Wing and make them feel the tension of the Death Star assault. At the time, arcade cabinets were mostly stand-up machines designed for quick social play, but Star Wars introduced a cockpit-style cabinet, wrapping players in an enclosed space that blocked out distractions and locked them into their rebel fighter. It was immersive, it was intense, and it made you feel like you were actually in the battle. This innovation sparked a trend in flight-based arcade games, paving the way for the Star Wars Trilogy arcade in 1998, deluxe Ace combat machines, and even today's VR pods, proof that total immersion through a physical enclosure remains a winning formula. Another standout feature, the Flight Yoke controller. Modelled after rail aviation equipment, this wasn't a button masher. It was a game of precision, reflexes, and the thrill of gripping the controls like a true rebel pilot.
The Force will be with you. Red 5 standing by.
And Atari didn't stop there. They threw in digitized voice clips straight from the movies, a massive deal for 1983. Hearing Obi-Wan's "The Force will be with you" as you lined up your shots, absolute chills.
I'm hit because that R2 see what you can do with it.
When Star Wars arcade cabinets landed in the arcades, they were an instant sensation. Players lined up to dogfight TIE fighters, evade Darth Vader, and obliterate the Death Star.
Stay in attack formation.
All while John Williams' legendary score blasted through the speakers. You didn't just hear the sound, you felt it through the seat of your pants. The success spawned two sequels, The Empire Strikes Back in 1985 and Return of the Jedi in 1984. The latter ditched vector graphics for a side-scrolling format, but nothing quite matched the original's impact. Gameplay was split into three pulse-pounding stages. Stage 1, dogfight with TIE fighters. The game kicks off in deep space, where waves of TIE fighters swarm in, forcing players to rely on quick reflexes to take them down. These enemy ships dart across the screen, firing at your X-Wing, and your shields take a hit every time you fail to dodge or destroy an incoming blast. Atari kept it fast and fluid. Enemy fighters weren't just predictable patterns, they moved dynamically, making each battle feel fresh. Stage 2 saw the Death Star surface assault. If you survived the dogfight, things got personal. You zoomed towards the Death Star, weaving through towers and turrets while dodging incoming fire. The game cleverly ramped up the challenge here. Turrets fired relentlessly, and if you weren't careful, you'd crash into an obstacle or get blasted into space dust before reaching the grand finale. The sense of speed was exhilarating, making it feel like you were truly skimming across the surface of a massive Imperial battle station. And on to the final stage, Stage 3, the legendary Trench Run. This was the moment, the climax every player hoped for. The Trench Run recreated the most iconic scene from A New Hope,
R2 trying to increase the power.
throwing players into a high-stakes gauntlet of obstacles, laser fire and precision flying.
Luke, trust me.
The challenge: thread your way through the enemy defences, avoid walls and turrets, and survive long enough to line up the shot on the Death Star's exhaust
You're all
port.
clear, kid.
Each stage was designed for maximum immersion. The vector graphics gave the players a clean, responsive battlefield, the controller made steering intuitive, and the digitized voice clips from the movies added a cinematic touch that was groundbreaking for the time. It was pure arcade magic.
I lost R2.
And even today, the thrill of that final trench run still holds up. So, what can I say? It is an absolute classic arcade game. I've got so many fond memories of playing it in the arcades. It's just amazing. It's still amazing. We recently went to the arcade in Leeds where they had it. We'll show you some footage of that, of it being played. And it still brought chills to me as I was playing it. It's such an iconic game. Atari really knocked it out of the park with this one. Do you have any memories of this game? Have you played it yourselves? Did you play it back in the day, or have you played it more recently in like one of these arcade experiences? Let me know down in the comments below. And don't forget, like and subscribe, leave us a comment and tickle the bell to be notified when we release more content. It does help us out and it doesn't cost you anything. So if you can do it, please do. See you in the next one.